Hello, I am excited to have you here today because we are going to talk about something that you probably don't want to talk about. And it's different than you think. You're probably excited about this topic because in your mind, you're like, how do I make more sales without spending money on ads, right? Is that a question you have? I would love it if you can hear me, if you will drop a heart or a like so that I can make sure that my sound is working properly. All right, so that is a question that we have today, right? How do we increase sales without upping ad costs? While also, by the way, we're going to also reduce stress and we're going to relieve anxiety. What? Yes, there is something that you can do literally when we get off the phone. And you will, I guess we're on the phone, right? Is that fair to say? That's such an old school term. When we get off this session of me looking at you and talking to you, virtual training, anyway, I want you to do these things. So there's a couple of different things that we're going to go over. So if you are ready, again, drop me a heart in the chat, say I'm in, I'm ready, all the things. And I want to tell you who I am. If you're new here, my name is Emily Hawkins. I am the founder of the Leadership Operating System. I am the owner of Your Life, Your Coach. And back in, 2017, I left the corporate world to start my own business. I had managed millions of dollars, teams, and had streamlined the processes in the corporate world for productive results. And I was on fire to do it in my own business. Well, that was almost 6 years ago. And after making multiple six figures a year, I decided that it was time to teach you how I streamlined my business for productive results to increase client referrals and retention rates because, y'all, that is just the best, right? So we are here today to talk about all things about not spending money because spending money sucks. Like, let's be real, right? Spending money is not fun. Sometimes it's necessary, but today we're not going to talk about spending money from a necessity. We're going to talk about how to get sales without spending money because there is a way to do this. And I have some questions and some homework I'm going to throw at you, some action for you today because, that's important to take away from all of our time together. So the first thing that I want to talk about is why am I talking about getting sales from a free environment, right? Well, let's just talk about it. Free is more fun, right? Free is more fun, but that's not really it, right? The real reason is because I'm a big fan of controlling what I can control. And I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, Facebook and Instagram just went away for a few days. So social media went away for almost an entire day, right? I realized there were other platforms, but it's not reliable, right? It's not a source that you personally can control. And if you are putting ads space out there, you know that ad costs are going to rise over time. Whether it's on the internet, on a billboard, whatever it is, that ad cost only rises over time. And I'm not even sure if you're aware of this. I am because I've run ads for years, that there's a seasonality factor that you will pay for as well. I'm going to call it the seasonal premium. There are certain times of year that it's more expensive to reach your audience. Doesn't that suck? I can't control any of that. I personally cannot control any of that. What I can control is what we're going to talk about today. You can't control the algorithm either. So I just wanted to touch on that as well, because being able to reach customers without spending money is the holy grail. It also speaks volumes to your specific business. The better you are at reaching people for free, the more longevity your business has. So I want to repeat that because it's very, very important to remember. The better you are at reaching people for free, the more longevity your business has. So let's talk about what we can do. So I want to ask you a question that may make you a little nervous. How's your fulfillment going? I don't care if you have served one customer or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people. How's your fulfillment of that? So when I say that, I think most of us get so caught up in selling, right? You get a sale. So I want to walk through the psychology of this for a minute. You have a sales call, you have a webinar, whatever your form of selling is, you do the thing, and then you get the proverbial ding, right? The cash register ding that feels so good. And sometimes we put a lot of worth in that, oh, wow, people see value in me. This is so great. But here's the thing. That's just the beginning, right? Because the next step in the process is fulfilling your promise. That's why it's called fulfillment, right? So it's actually doing the service or providing the product that you claimed you would, right? And I do realize that some of us actually perform the thing and then get the money, but regardless, somebody says, yes, I'm ready, right? And you know that you're going to get a sale, whether that money comes at the beginning or the end. I'm a big fan of it being at the beginning. It's a lot easier to handle situations and expectations. But I digress. Sometimes we forget about how much this matters. Why does this matter? Because if your fulfillment is rock star, just superb, surprise, delight, love your customers, then guess what happens? This is the thing that will change your business. It is the thing that will grow your business the fastest, and it is client retention, also known as repeat business, and client referrals. We forget about this, right? We forget about how important it is to not only serve the person that's right in front of you, but the possibility that that person can bring to your business long term. Something I want you to remember is when you make a sale, it is serving you that day, but it's serving that person for a lifetime. So how do you want to leave that person? What do you want to leave them with, right? I am a firm believer in what my grandmother always shared, which was, I want to make sure that I am leaving people better than I found them. So if anyone invests with me, I want to make sure that they feel seen and heard and loved. And by someone feeling seen, heard, and loved, that's different for every type of business, right? I know when I go to my accountant, seen, heard, and loved means that you're going to take all of my information from the year, all of my financials. You're going to ask me questions that will help you better serve me. And then you will file my taxes and give me a beautiful report back. And you will represent me if for some reason, something happens, right? That is seen, heard, and loved from an accounting perspective. But how are you seeing, hearing, and loving your existing customers? Once they pay you, what are you doing that would make them want to tell a friend? What are you doing that would make them come back to you next tax season? Come back to you the next time their car needs to be worked on. Come back to you the next time they need to learn a new language. Whatever it is, whatever your service is, what is it that you're doing that will make people want to do those things? Because what's so wonderful is, if you look at ads, let's go back to ads cost again. It's kind of like you put some money in, you get some money out, you put some money in, you get some money out. And there's a little bit of a cap at certain points, right? Well, I know if I spend X amount of dollars, I'm only gonna get this number of leads or whatever. Even if the cost was this low, like this is the most I could possibly get. The beautiful thing about retention and referrals is it's exponential. It is infinite. You could have one person that has amazing service that can bring you 500 people. You could have one person that brings you 500 people, and those 500 people bring you 2 people, and so on and so forth. It is such a better game to play, but we forget about it because we focus on marketing. Now, yes, get people in the door, but if you serve them well, then they will bring you people. How do I know this? Well, I want to walk through what I learned in my journey of doing this. And I want to teach you the 3 things that having better fulfillment and serving your people actually gives you. So the first one is a better reputation, right? So let's talk for a minute about reputations. And let's pretend for a minute that, well, actually, let me tell you a story. This is even better because this is like legit. So I'm going to impress you with something for a minute. You may not be impressed, and that's okay, but I'm impressed. When I was in first grade, Andy McDowell came to my show and tell. So there was a girl in my class that her aunt was Andy McDowell. If you don't know who Andy McDowell is, she's in, oh my gosh, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. She's also in Groundhog Day, probably her most famous. She's done some other stuff recently too, but she came to my first grade show and tell. And the show and tell was for my friend, and her name was actually Emily as well. And Emily brought her aunt. And so I got to meet Andy McDowell. Why am I sharing that with you? Because reputation matters. In fact, what we have forgotten is that as much as we like to think that we're a status culture, and we are, our status is not about the things that we own. It's not about the cars we drive. It's not about the clothes we wear. Our biggest currency is our social currency. It's who we know. So I'm sure that I have now wowed you and impressed you with my first grade brush with fame, which was a few years back. No, we are not in touch anymore. I do not spend time with her regularly, but isn't that wonderful that I saw her? But what are people saying about your business? Because you want people to tell other people about your business, right? But they're not going to do that unless it ups their status. So think about that for a second. Let's think about a job, right? So you have a cousin who has a slight drinking problem, right? They got problems in their life, and you know they're not reliable. And they reach out to you and they say, hey, do you know anybody who's hiring? I'm pretty sure you're going to say, nope, because you know if you go out and say, hey, Fred, my cousin needs a job, and you refer it to your other friend, all of a sudden your reputation with that friend, when your cousin inevitably doesn't show up for his job, goes down. We are so careful with our reputations, right? And so when you serve people well, they want you to serve their friends and their family well because it ups their status, right? And so you want to be a celebrity. You want to be that Andy McDowell that people are talking about. Oh my gosh, I know Sarah. I know, Ginger. I know these people. You want people to want to be associated with you. It's one of the best things that happen. It happens when you serve people well. When you serve people well, your reputation goes up. You will be referred out more, and you will be associated with success, and everybody will want to share your information, which is hugely important. So let's talk about the next one, better testimonials. So it's not just that people privately do these things, right? It's that they publicly do them. And the best example of this is Amazon. So if you go on Amazon right now and you want to purchase, I don't know, a new mattress, that's a good example. What are you going to do? Are you just going to read the description of the mattress? And I haven't done this, but I'm assuming there are like 500 mattresses over there, probably more, right? And yes, you can look at pricing and you can look at, all these things, but y'all, we all look at those customer reviews, and I happen to enjoy it. It's a part-time hobby of mine because people write some really funny things in those reviews. But usually I don't go down that rabbit hole. I use it for, oh, wow, there are 1,000 5-star reviews for this. And yes, there's like 2 or 3 people that say they don't like it. Now, what do? I always look at those first, and it's usually somebody that you probably know, right? Like you don't know that person, but you know that person. Meaning you read the review and you're like, oh my God, this reminds me of my aunt, where nothing makes this person happy, right? So you immediately discount that, right? But then you look at some other reviews and you're like, oh, such a great review. I now understand how I can use this better, what I need to look out for in the packaging. Like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about putting it in that room because some people share pictures. It is so helpful, right? You might even read, I know I am a mother, and so I'm constantly buying things for my children over there, and there's nothing better than a heartwarming story, right? This saved my child's life. Okay, maybe that's a little far-fetched for an Amazon product, but I can tell you when I bought the Baby Merlin Magic Sleep Suit, if you have young children, you know what I'm talking about. It is a gift from God. And the thing that made me buy it was I heard about it from a friend, but then I went on Amazon and read all the reviews, and there were literally thousands of them, right? And most of them were, I slept, my baby slept. And I was like, oh, I need that so bad. And so that made me purchase the product. It was the testimonials, right? So what I want to ask you is, are you getting compliments? Are you getting compliments in your email? Are you getting private messages from people? Are you on a call with somebody? Maybe it's a Zoom call because you do coaching, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're just amazing. Thank you for whatever it is you did, right? And I know I get messages periodically that are sent over from customer service that are on my comments in my social media posts. You changed my life. You did these things. And it's just so beautiful, right? It makes you realize that what you're doing matters, which is great. Again, seeing, hearing, loving these people. My question to you is, what are you doing with those testimonials? Because in the Leadership Operating System, I actually teach you a systemized way of making sure that you're grabbing all of this, that you're actually asking for this information, because you should be asking for it. When to be asking, how to ask, where to house these things, all of that, so that you can have repeat buyers on repeat without having to spend a ton in ads. So testimonials are your bread and butter. I want you, after this call, if you are not, to reach out to the people that you know, at least 5 people that you know that you've served recently, and send them this note. I want you to say, hey, insert person's name, I thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and you were always so complimentary of our services. Could you write me a testimonial of our time together? Sincerely, your name, done. Send that to 5 people. You can send it through Instant Messenger on social platforms. You can also send it through email. I would recommend email just because it's easier to house, but totally up to you. Get those testimonials. They are important. Very, very, very important to your business. And if you are not doing that, then you are shooting yourself in the foot. I know that some of us feel like if we do this, that we sound like we are just grabbing attention or wanting that information. But here is what you will get when you serve people well and they share things with you and you capture them. You get better stories. And why does this matter? Because I can sit here and tell you my story all day long, right? I can tell you all the things about me. But when I tell you about Mary, oh my God, all of a sudden, People all relate with Mary. I get information all the time when I share testimonials. And by the way, you don't have to share their real name. You don't have to share their photo. I would get permission from people, but if they do not give you permission, you can share the story, change the name, and not share an image. It's that easy. Because I will tell you that people relate to people. They relate to others' struggles. And this is a free way to connect with people using your actual customers' words. You can send this in email. You can put it on social media. You can talk about it with a friend. You know, when you're on a sales call with somebody, oh my gosh, you remind me a lot of Claire that I worked with. Again, I'm making up all these names, right? But it makes a big difference. And here's the thing, going back to the testimonial and asking, could I share this? People love that. They love to be in the spotlight. They love to be honored, and you're going to share it in a nice way, right? They love that you want to spotlight them. I know that I am a big fan of giving testimonials to any business that I've come across, and I actually was featured in several different webinars for larger named organizations that people reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, Emily, did you know that you're in this webinar? I was like, no, I didn't. But that's because when I know, like, and trust a product and I feel seen, heard, and loved, then I am going to put my name and my reputation behind it. And this is where you are going to be able to do that. So getting those testimonials is key. It provides you with better stories that you can use everywhere. And if you're not getting this, well, I have some questions for you. So if none of this is happening for you, after this call, I want you to work through something with me. And I would love it, by the way, if after that you watch this video, you can come back to this and comment, or maybe something else. Hang with me for a minute. So I have some questions that I want you to think about in your fulfillment process. So I'm using the word fulfillment, but it's really your customer service, right? So somebody pays you money and you are fulfilling a service of some kind, whether it is you are shipping a product, you are, fixing their car, painting their house, you are providing coaching, you are writing resumes, whatever that service looks like for you. I want you to ask yourself these questions. What takes too long? What are you doing that takes too long? So there's something in your process that maybe takes longer than it should. What is that? I don't know the answer. I know somebody who does, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what takes too long? What are you doing that takes too long? And the way you know it takes too long is, when are people dropping off? So let's say that you're like, I provide a 6-week coaching program, and week 4, people stop showing up. Well, friend, something has taken too long. So these two are definitely related to one another. But when are people dropping off? When are people no longer interested? When are you seeing that repeat business go away? Why is that, right? Why is a client not retaining for whatever reason? And then what is it that people want more of? What is it they want more of? So I ask people all sorts of questions. And actually in the Leadership Operating System, I provide you the questions that I ask to get better products in front of people. Because if you are not bettering your products, then you are dying. And when I say products, services are a product, by the way. And so what I found out when I was sending surveys, when I just launched my Market Me course, which is a course that I've done in the past, is after I was sending these surveys to people, I was getting such great information. Could you offer more of this? Could we have more of that? And all of a sudden, after receiving, boatloads of information, my very customers made the product that I consider something that I'm super proud of, that I created, the most extraordinary thing out in the market. And I know it's because I listened and I said, what do they want more of? And I also was able to see consumption rates and where they were stopping so that I could reach out to those people and understand why, so that I could create better wins, because that's what people want. And then what are people complaining about? Now, I know what you're thinking. I made the example earlier on about your aunt who you could never make happy, right? We all know these people, right? There are people that you are not going to make happy. But every complaint has a little shred of truth and something that you can do something with. Now, I am not saying that you reach out to that person and you give all the money back and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I will make everything better. I will change the sun and the moon for you. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is I want you to look at that email and I want you to say, what part of this feels true to me? I have been told over the years, I remember when I first started out, this is an embarrassing story, but it's an important one. I got on a call with someone and felt like I was pulling teeth to get them to buy, which is not good, right? And by the end of the call, she finally bought one-on-one services with me. And it was like I got off that like I'd just run a 26-mile marathon. I was like, oh my gosh. So I don't know, 5 hours go by and I receive an email from her. So she purchased, right? But this email came 5 hours after. We had not engaged in our services yet. And she sent me, I kid you not, a 3-page email of exactly what she hopes changes with my attitude, the way I interact, how pushy I am during our calls moving forward. Now, I could tell you that my business, as does yours, has a beautiful feature known as the refund button that I utilized that day. That was not my person. But what that email told me was, oh, I need to make sure that I am not attracting this type of person. And there were a few things that she said in that email. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I was pushy. I was so desperate to make this sale. Looking back, I have no idea why, but I just needed the sale in my mind, right? And she read that. And so that was something that I could work on. I had another guy, again, early on in my career, my coaching career, where we had our first call together. And everything I suggested, every question I asked was hit with, I don't know. So a session is like a give and take, right? And I was asking questions and getting zero back. And at the end of the call, he's like, well, what job should I be doing? Okay, I don't have a crystal ball. And you answered zero of my questions. I didn't say this. Don't get me wrong. I didn't say this. But I said, well, we actually need to do some more digging because so far I really don't feel like I know a lot about you. So we get off the call. I just feel like I have not served this person at all. They have given me nothing to work with, but I have failed as a coach is really what I felt like. So they sent me an email within 24 hours of that session talking about how disappointed they were and how they wanted a refund. And guess what I did? I refunded that person. Now, I learned so much from that call. So much so that I actually updated my process so that the questions I was asking on that call, I sent prior to the session so that the person had time to think about it. Because I realized, oh my gosh, I'm a sustained thinker. I am someone that if you were like, tell me your greatest moment in life, go. Well, I don't know. But if you give me a day to think about it, I'm probably going to have a better answer. So it helped me serve people better long term. And they actually loved having all of that beforehand because they were anticipating how deep the session would go. And wow, so much deeper. I serve people at such a deeper level because of that one misstep that I made in my business. So Complaints are not always something to completely ignore. I'm not saying that you should do something with that particular person, but there's a little shred of truth. There's something you could be doing differently, whether it's targeting different people, whether it's changing up your service offerings, changing up the way you serve people, how you serve them, what you give them. It's all there. Now, I want to offer you something special. So if you go through these questions and you are not sure what to do, I would love to have a conversation with you. So I want you to type the words shift, SHIFT, in the chat if that is something you are interested in. I will reach out to you. We will talk strategy, and I want to see if the leadership operating system is something that would help you in this regard, because this is part and parcel of growing your business. The back end of your business is what is selling it. And in the leadership operating system, we make sure that your people and your processes are working for you completely and totally. And we're doing it in a profitable way. So I'm not telling you to buy expensive software, expensive people. I'm actually saying serve and give at the level that makes the most sense for your business. And if you're not sure what that is, I want you to type shift, SHIFT, in the comments. I want to personally message you. I will message you, and we will have a conversation to see what fits you best. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you here next week.